Looking for the perfect classic cardigan crochet pattern? Well, look no further. Whether you're a veteran or a beginner, this crochet pattern will give you the tools to make an elegant, timeless cardigan. Hi there, I'm Lindsay with Off the Beaten Hook, and this tutorial covers the making of my Hoodoo Classic Cardigan crochet pattern. So go make sure you have a copy of the written pattern, because I do write this pattern in 7 sizes, and you want to make sure you are making it for your size. I have a free copy of the pattern on my blog. I also have printable copies on my Etsy and Ravelry shops, and I will include links to those places in the description box below. So go grab your hooks, because you're about to make your next go-to cardi. We are going to begin with the ribbed hem on the back panel. So the ribbed hem is made up of rows of 10 stitches of half double crochet. So to begin, go ahead and slip knot onto your hook and chain 11. Okay, so for your first row, you are going to skip that first back bump of your chain, and you're going to make your first half double crochet in the second bump from the hook. And you're going to place 1 half double crochet in each of the bumps all the way back down the chain. Okay, so I'm placing my last half double crochet in that final chain. There is our very first row of our ribbing. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now for the second row and each row thereafter, you're going to be placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch through the back loop only. So take your half double crochet through the back loop only, and this is what creates that beautiful ribbed texture. So you are going to continue in this way for the number of rows that is required for your size. Back and forth, and I will meet you at the end of the ribbing. All right, we have completed our ribbing, and I have turned my work, and I'm going to chain 1. For the very first row of the back panel, we're going to place an entire row of single crochet into the top of this ribbed hem. When you're making a row upon a ribbing that is made of half double crochet, the ratio is 1.5 stitches per row. So what you're going to do is you're going to be placing 1 single crochet in the top of 1 row, 2 single crochets in the top of the next row. That is how I keep track of that ratio. So I'm going to start right here and place a single crochet in this first row. Then I'm going to place 2 single crochets in the top of this next row of half double crochet ribbing. So just find a place that works for you in the end of that row and place 2 single crochet. And then at the end of this next row, I'm going to place 1 single crochet, and then 2 in the next row, and on and on. So again, refer to the pattern for the size that you're making to make sure your stitch count is correct, but this is the easiest way to keep track of the 1.5 stitches per row ratio. So I will complete this row of single crochet and see you at the end. All right, so I finished my first row of the back panel of my single crochet, which is the first of my 2-row repeat. So I'm going to take a chain and turn. And the second row is the forked cluster row. So the forked clusters are basically a variation of a double crochet decrease. I'm going to go ahead and mark my right side here, because this is going to be the right side. I'm just going to mark it with a stitch marker. And I'm going to show you how to get going on this forked cluster. So basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing a double crochet decrease over these first 2 stitches. And then I'm going to show you how to get going, because it's a little bit not tricky, but a little bit of a variation as you go along. So go ahead and begin just like you were going to do your double crochet, and put your hook in that very first stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And then immediately, instead of completing your stitch, you're going to yarn over and put your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 5 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through 3. You've got 3 left. Yarn over and pull through 3. And that is your forked cluster. So we basically have 2 legs of this one stitch. So now, instead of making your next one over these 2 stitches moving forward, your first leg is going to be placed in that same stitch that you just ended with, and the second leg is going to be placed in this next stitch over. So I'll show you what that looks like. So go ahead and begin your double crochet, yarn over, and insert your hook into that stitch that you just completed in. So you're going back into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now yarn over and put your next leg into this next stitch, yarn over, pull up. Okay, so again, 5 on the hook, yarn over and pull through 3, yarn over and pull through 3. So you can see in that way, again, there's 2 legs of the stitch, but the first one is placed in that previous stitch. Okay, so let's do this again. Yarn over, put your hook through that previous stitch where you just ended your last one, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go straight into your next stitch, yarn over, pull up, 5 loops, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 3. All right, and that is your stitch, the forked cluster that you're going to do for all of the second rows of this 2-row repeat. And then when you get to the end of this row, you're going to make 1 final double crochet into the last stitch of the row. So I'll just let you get on your way with this row, and I will meet you at the end and show you what that looks like. All right, so I've come to the end of my very first row of forked clusters. And in this last stitch, we're going to just place 1 single crochet to finish off this row. And that's how every row of your forked cluster rows will end. It'll end with 1 final double crochet. So we're just going to chain 1 and turn. So this is your 2-row repeat that you're going to do for the entire cardigan. So you've got your row of single crochet, your row of forked cluster double crochets, and you're going to go on and on and on. So you're going to turn here and you're going to go ahead and start with your next row of single crochet. I'm going to build on this back panel, and the next time I see you, we are going to be splitting, or not splitting, we're actually going to be chaining for the sleeve portion of the pattern. So go ahead and get cracking on your back panel, and I will meet you at the sleeves. All right, we have completed our last row of our back panel, and we are now going to add chains onto each corner of this back panel to extend the panel for the sleeves. So based on the size that you're making, take note of the number of chains you need for the length of the sleeve, and just pick up right where you left off from the back panel and make a chain in the number of stitches that you need. When you come to the end of this chain, you're actually going to just take your hook off the loop. You can stitch mark it if you want or whatnot, but you are going to come back and pick up where you left off here. So take your hook off and come to the opposite corner, and you're going to take a new ball of yarn, join in the very corner stitch here with a slip stitch, and again chain the number of required chains for your size, for your length of sleeve. Okay, and at the end of this chain, you're actually going to fasten off. So just snip and fasten off here. Then you're going to come back to the other side where you dropped your yarn from the first chain that you made for the sleeve. And you are going to pick back up with your 2-row repeat, beginning with a row of single crochet. So this first row of single crochet, you are going to begin by making your first single crochet in the second chain from the hook on this chain, and in each chain thereafter. All right, I'm coming back down the chain and I'm meeting back up with the last row of the back panel, and I'm just going to continue straight across the top of the back panel here with my single crochets. And I go all the way across and meet up with the chain on the opposite side. So I've made it over to the opposite side of this last row of the back panel where I made my other chain for the sleeve, and going to continue on with my single crochet. I'll go ahead and continue to single crochet all the way to the end of this chain, and then you're going to move straight into your row of double crochet clusters, your forked clusters, and continue on with your 2-row repeat for the first section of the sleeves here. Okay, here we are. I ran out of room on my table, so we've moved to the floor. Pros and cons of doing this all in one panel, right? So what we've done so far is we have completed section 1 and 2, which is the back panel and the first half of the sleeves. And now what we're going to do is move into section 3, where we are going to finish the second half of the sleeves and begin the front panel all at the same time. So you're going to end up with panels on either side of these sleeves, and then a section of stitches that is left unworked here in the middle that becomes the neckline. So go ahead and grab a couple of stitch markers, and based on the size you're making, you're going to start on the outside here, and you're going to count in from the outside the proper number of stitches for the length of the sleeve, and adding in the number of stitches for the front panel, and mark that stitch, which will remain unworked. Then, starting again from the opposite side, counting inward in the same way and marking it. Obviously, I'm not doing this precisely right now. I'm just illustrating this for you. But for now, picking up where you left off and continue with your 2-row repeat, stopping at the stitch marker, leaving it unturned, chaining and turning, and continue in the same number of rows that you did for the first part of your sleeve. And after that, you're going to stop, fasten off, and then rejoin here on the other side and repeat those same rows on the opposite sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to let you get on with it. So again, just pick up where you left off here. Crochet across the stitch marker. And on and on. Repeat on the other side, and I will meet you in a bit. And section 4 is after you've completed the sleeves and transition into just doing the rest of the front panels and then the front ribbed hem. The method for that is very similar. You're just shortening your rows even further. So just follow the written instructions again to double check the stitch count for how many stitches you're going to need for the front panels based on your size for what is needed for that section. So as I just showed you, we have finished the front panels all the way down to the front hem. I'm going to go ahead and do that front hem with you here. So I have finished with a row of single crochet, and I'll go ahead and chain 11 to begin our front hem. 1, 11. So our front hem is going to be made in half double crochet, just like the back hem was. And so we are going to, I'm going to turn this, it'll look a little bit more proper here. All right, so we're going to skip that first back bump from the hook and place our first half double crochet in the second back bump. The first one's kind of hiding under here. So there's the first one. We're going to skip and place our first half double crochet into this second back bump from the hook. And in each back bump all the way back down that chain. So you're going to end up with 10 half double crochets. And 10. All right, so once you make it back down to that final row of single crochet, this was the stitch that we just began our chain out of. But what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to go back up this row of half double crochets through the back loop only. So you're going to have 10 half double crochets going up. So skip those 3 slip stitches that you just did, and you're going to place your first half double crochet into that very first back bump, going back up that row. All right, so you're going to have 10 half double crochets going back up. Okay, 10, chain 1 and turn and make 10 half double crochets back down. All right, and again, in the next 3 available stitches here, you're going to do 3 slip stitches right along the row there. 1, 2, oops, 2 and 3. All right, so go ahead and repeat that all the way down the front hem. You're going to take your chain, turn, do your 10 half double crochets through the back loop only all the way up and down. And then when you get back down, 3 slip stitches along here. Okay, so you're going to finish off this short little section here. So go ahead and do that on both sides. And after that, we will go ahead and seam the sides of the sweater and the sleeves together. All right, so we are now complete with our front hem, and we have basically finished the main panel, the main one big huge rectangle. It's not even really a rectangle, I guess it's a series of rectangles. But we are ready to seam up the sides and seam those sleeves together as well. So with your sweater, make sure that the right side is facing in. Really, the pattern is written to where there is a right side and a wrong side, but you can choose which side you like the look of better. And do remember that you're going to have that natural bias that we talked about that will work out with wet blocking. So don't worry about it. It might look a little bit cocky-woggle when you're trying to lay it flat, but what you're going to do is go ahead and lay your panels right side together, and with your chosen seaming method, whether you like the mattress stitch or whip stitch, whichever you like best, go ahead and seam your way up the sides and back down the sleeve. So go ahead and seam that on both sides. So we have finished our seaming of our cardigan, and we're going to go ahead and get started on the collar. And what we're going to do is we're going to be crocheting it half double crochet rows through the back loop only, and it's going to be very similar to how this ribbing looks. We're going to be doing it up and around and down, up and around and down, up and around and down for several rows. All right, so let's go ahead and get you started off. What you're going to do is this very first part's going to be pretty self-explanatory. So your first row is just going to be a row of half double crochet from one corner all the way around the neckline down the other side to the opposite corner. Okay, for right-handed crocheters, you're going to start on the front right side. Okay, we're going to be working on the right side facing us at this point. So you've turned your sweater right side facing. If you're a left-hand crocheter, you're going to be starting on the left front side, as if you were wearing it, I should say, the left front side, and work your way up and around that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and rejoin our yarn with the slip knot. I'm just going to get you started here just to show you how to place your half double crochets evenly. When you start to switch from these double crochet rows to the single crochet, you're going to be placing one half double crochet at the end of a single crochet row, and then you're going to be putting two half double crochets at the end of each of the fork clusters, the double crochet rows. Okay, one here, two here, and all the way around. So we'll just get you started. Okay, so go ahead and pull up your first row here, and since we want to start the ribbing right away, we're going to go ahead and make our half double crochet through the back loops only of this first little row here, of this first section of the hem. Okay, so go ahead and rejoin your yarn through the back loop only of that first stitch. Okay, and then as you make your way up, just half double crochet through the back loop only all the way up to the main body there. Okay, so when you arrive to that very first row we made of the main rectangle, this first row of single crochet that we made along the top of the hem, you'll place a half double crochet into that row. Okay, and then when you get to your double crochet rows, you're going to be placing two half double crochets at the end of those rows of the forked clusters. Okay, so I'm going to be doing one here and one here. Okay, now we're back to a single crochet row, this one right here. So we'll place one half double crochet into the end of that row, right? And two half double crochets into the end of this double crochet row. All right, so just go ahead and continue in that way all the way around, up around the neckline, and all the way back down to this side, and I will meet you at the end of this row. All right, make my last half double crochet prior to my front hem, and then I just wanted to remind you as you approach this part to do your oops, I have one more in my single crochet row. Do your half double crochets through the back loop only as you come down this front part of the hem, just as a reminder. I'm going to keep the ribbed effect going. Okay, so go ahead and make your last stitch. Okay, so from here, what you're gonna do is take a chain, one chain, and turn this big giant cardigan. I don't know about you, but the yarn I'm using is, I love it so much, but it's super heavy and dense. This is gonna be a really warm cardi. Okay, so when you're coming back, you're gonna be working through the back loops only, half double crochet, making this beautiful ribbed collar going all the way back up and around to the other side. Okay, so I am going to leave you from here because you can certainly do this part without me. And you're going to complete your collar by doing rows of half double crochet through the back loop only, back and forth, back and forth. All right, you guys, we are ready to start our cuffs on our sleeves, okay? So at this point, your sleeves are very straight, they're very wide, probably. We are going to do one row of decreases of single crochet all the way around this wrist opening before we start our sleeve cuffs. And I will do that with you now. So go ahead and grab your hook, slip knot onto your hook. Okay, and by now you are comfortable with the method of single crocheting one in the end of each of the single crochet rows and two in the end of each of the double crochet rows where you did your forked clusters. And so it's going to be similar. We're going to treat the ends of the double crochet rows with 2 stitches and the single crochet rows with 1 stitch. So I'm rejoining here in the seam of my wrist. Okay, and I'm gonna just slip stitch. And then right where I slip stitch, I'm gonna go ahead and place my very first single crochet. Okay, so that'll be the first stitch of the round. I'm gonna place a stitch marker there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and scroll in here. What we're gonna be doing, since we're going into our next row is our double crochet row. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna identify 2 loops on the top of this double crochet row here. You're gonna find 2 loops here, and you're gonna find 2 loops here. Okay, and then you've got the end of your single crochet row. Okay, and then your next double crochet row, you've got 2 loops here, 2 loops here. These are the loops that you're treating as stitches as you're decreasing around, okay? Here's your single crochet row. 2 loops here for your double crochet row here. Those are the 2 loops that make up your double crochet. Okay, so as you go around, those are the loops you're gonna be using to decrease, okay? So for my very first row here, I'm gonna place, I actually have the seam and then I do have a single crochet row here. So for your single crochet decrease, you're gonna be inserting your hook, pulling up a loop, and then inserting it straight away into that first loop, under those first 2 loops that you identified on your double crochet row. Pull up together. Okay, that's your first decrease. Okay, my next decrease is consisting of that second loop on my double crochet row, pulling up a loop, and then going into where my single crochet row is, pulling up a loop. So it's just like decreasing around on our irregular row of single crochet, but you kind of have to think out of the box a little bit. Okay, so with this one, it's both of my loops of my double crochet row, I'm single crocheting together. Right, so this is just going to make the opening of our wrist smaller and shape it a little bit before we go in and do our cuff. Okay, so I have just finished this decrease round on my sleeve, so you can see how that brings it to a nice taper here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and do our cuff. The cuff is done in the exact same way as the hem. Okay, so starting straight away. 9, 10, 11. Okay, half double crochet through the back bump. Okay, we're going to skip that very first back bump, place our first half double crochet in the second back bump, all the way back down. So you're going to have 10 half double crochets all the way back down. And 10. So in the same way as we did the front hem, we're going to slip stitch in these next 3 stitches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, chain 1 and turn. We're going to skip those slip stitches and that chain. We're going to half double crochet through the back loop only, beginning in this first stitch here and all the way back up. So again, you'll have 10 half double crochets back up. Okay, and 10. Okay, chain 1, turn. Okay, we're going to come back down, 10 half double crochets back down. Okay, we've reached back down to the wrist. Okay, so we're going to rejoin that ribbing back by placing 3 3 slip stitches. So we're going to slip stitch in these next 3. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, turn. Okay, and make your way back up. So I'll meet you at the end of the ribbing. So when you get all the way around on your cuff, on the last ribbed row of your cuff, you're going to be joining the first row to the last row with a row of slip stitches. So bring your right sides together. So get your first row, your last row. You're going to bring those with the right sides together. And you're going to be slip stitching through both loops from the row closest to you and through the back loop only of the row adjacent to that, so behind that. So pushing your hook through both loops of this first row and the back loop only of this second row. And what this does by doing it this way is it just on the outside, and you'll see when you flip it back right side out, it just makes this seam look like another rib on the outside. It's just, you can't see it. It's a really nice way to slip stitch closed cuffs. So go ahead and do that all the way down. And fasten off. And then just take your tapestry needle and weave in the ends on the inside of the sweater. And then when you bring your cuff right side out, this is what it will look like. So that concludes my tutorial for the Hoodoo Classic Cardigan. I hope it was helpful for you in making your perfect timeless classic cardigan. If this video was helpful for you, please click the like button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to sign up on my website, offthebeatenhook.com, so we can keep in touch and where you'll be the first to know about new patterns, resources, and video tutorials. See you next time.